I found that other episode, Lionel. I found that episode of Stargate SG-1.
I'm so relieved.
Yes. No, thank goodness I did. Really, honestly. It was not called Wormhole Extreme, but it features, and it doesn't feature the DeLuise brothers. It features Marty, the alien scriptwriter or Hollywood showrunner, and it's called 200, and it's in the 10th season, and it is pretty funny, and it does have kind of a very touching speech at the end by the actor who plays the robot character in the TV show that's featured inside of Stargate SG-1. It's a wonderful meta cool. episode. So I'll send you a link to that.
Send me the link. Is that it? Was that your quirky?
That's
sort
my
of
thing. That's my intro.
That was pretty standard. Anyway, tonight on our show, ladies and gentlemen,
boys and girls,
our guest is Mr. Jonathan Cooper. Jonathan and I are professional associates, and we both work in information security. We have worked in information security, and Jonathan is on the show tonight. Jonathan hails from Corpus Christi, Texas. No, you're. Well, anyway, you don't know.
Close enough.
Needs to know exactly. Close enough. The Corpus Christi area of Texas, the bustling metropolis of the greater Corpus Christi metropolitan area, where I lived for many years. Jonathan hails from Corpus Christi. And we have worked together, and we've worked together in some very amusing incidents. And we also keep track of what's going on in the world of internet scams. We listen to stories and we repeat stories so people know what's going on. So Jim suggested that this episode be about scams, but I think more specifically, internet-based scams. And so thank you, Jonathan, for joining us.
No problem.
There you go.
Jonathan, there's if you look on your phone right now, there's a pin for your phone from your phone company. Can you tell me what it is, please, so I can fix your account?
Sure.
Right.
It is 7331.
Okay. Now
that's
the
lead
phone.
Speak. No, there's a
733. Wait.
Well, there used to be hell,
7331.
Yeah. Wait, I'm trying to think what that is.
7 is the L. 3 is the E, and then T.
Oh, I see.
Lead. Oh, you're spelling the word lead. I thought you were trying to spell like the big thing when I was show you when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. You take your calculator and you type hell. You turn it upside down. Spell it's 4337 or something like that. And you
sometimes,
turn it upside down.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see it as 1337. I mean, any of your viewers or listeners that watch the movie Hack the Planet might see some references in there to stuff of that nature.
Well, Sarah's alive.
Hackers.
Sarah's alive and caught the 7331 immediately. So 7331 speak. She typed.
Good.
Well, funny you should mention movies because we talk a lot about movies here, Jim and I.
Yep.
And I actually watched a Michael Mann movie. Michael Mann, the guy who made Miami Vice and made Collateral and made The Last of the Mohicans, and made a lot of really great films. He also made, I forget the name of it, of course, because I'm thinking about it. He made a movie about hackers, which was surprisingly accurate and really interesting. I think it was something like Black Bag or something like that. I forget. And I don't want to spend time.
There is one named that.
What's your favorite hacker? Do you have a favorite hacker film, Jonathan, or a favorite hacker show that you think is
probably the movie Hackers is the first one, and then behind that, of course, because you asked me, I just drew a blank. But there's another one out there that Sandra Bullock is in. And
Black Hat? Is it Black Hat?
No, I think Black Hat is what's the Michael Mann? We're going to look it up.
That's the Michael Mann one, according to Sarah, and Sarah is always right.
Now the Sandra Bullock one is she's responsible for making people digitally disappear, and then she disappears.
The Net.
The Net.
The Net.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of these.
Is it good?
I think it's really good. I think it's really good. Now, none of these are accurate to real life.
Well,
none of them are at all.
I think a lot of things have changed. As far as I can tell, things have changed.
Yeah,
I definitely would love to hear about, kind of what you're finding, what you're looking out for, what you're hearing about.
Yeah,
would be great.
Because again, even your fans that are watching NCIS and they see McGee over there, and it's like, well, can you break into the national database and look up? And he goes,
yeah,
you're talking about me breaking into the FBI. Give me a minute. And he's got the information in 30 seconds. No, it doesn't happen unless they're letting you in.
Right.
But more what I think we're talking about today is there is actually a very severe uptick in phishing scams and email scams that are happening. And I was doing some research earlier today, and I saw something that said that these scams are even dramatically increasing for people who are over the age of 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things they're doing there is a relative based scam. So they will call a person and say, hey, I have little Johnny, or they'll even impersonate being little Johnny and say, Grandma, I need you to send me $5,000. And one of the other trends that I'm seeing in a lot of this is used to when the cryptocurrencies hit and all of the other different ransomwares and scams, a lot of these people were trying to make big bucks fast. One of the things they're doing now is they're dropping and they're asking for $500, $1,000, $1,500, and they're hitting people faster. So the nefarious actors are still getting the same money they wanted. Matter of fact, in 2024, business email compromises, so where people had their email accounts compromised, contributed to $2.7 billion of loss.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
BECs.
Business email.
Yeah, business email compromise is a BEC. And I think it's still big, though, then, because it was huge.
Very huge.
It was huge to begin with. My favorite one was the town of Henderson, Texas, which I think is close to where you grew up, right?
Yeah,
Jonathan?
It is.
Henderson, Texas. So Henderson, Texas was engaged in a federal. They had a contract with like the Department of Transportation to like redo a highway near Henderson, Texas. So they were processing with the government of Henderson, Texas. Every month, every third Friday of every month would process this like $7 million progress payment to the contractor. And what happened was a hacker got into this, hacked into their system, watched it for a while to see exactly how it happened, knew exactly what these emails said, knew exactly the names of all the people involved in it, got in there an hour before the next payment and sent an email to Henderson saying, hey, it's Todd. Something happened. We had to change bank account numbers. Can you send the $7 million payment to this bank account? This is our backup bank account number. And they did, because Todd knew exactly what to say, phrased the emails perfectly, had blocked off the real construction company, and they made like 700,000. I think it was 700,000. But
I don't remember
for one email
numbers.
To make 700K off of one email,
holy moly!
Whoa, that's a BEC.
That's a BEC.
That's a classic BEC.
In these type of cases like Lionel's talking about, according to research done by IBM, it is not uncommon for a nefarious actor to be in the system 270 days.
Yeah.
That is the average, that the person is in a system doing a thing that's called footprinting, where they're just watching and they're seeing how the system is put together. Now, that's talking about business stuff, but even that same thing happens to individuals. They may get access to your Google account or your Yahoo account, and they will sit and watch, and they will wait to see what business interactions, who are you talking to, and then get enough information to do, like I was talking about earlier, where they call in and they impersonate little Johnny. Because now they've watched and monitored and they've got enough information. And the scarier part today is with AI and the way it's generated. If they have maybe you sent a picture and said, or a video said, here's Johnny's 16th birthday. That nefarious actor can intercept that, and if Johnny's talking, they can drop that into the AI. The AI can learn, and then it can produce Johnny's voice. It can produce his mannerisms. It can. There was some stuff that was released 3 or 4 years ago that showed President Obama standing at a stage talking, and every bit of it was 100% AI generated.
Right.
Yeah.
But you couldn't
There's a lot
tell.
of Obama. Yeah. There's a lot to feed into the hopper. And there's a lot of elderly Americans with a lot of money.
Yes.
The baby boomer generation is aging, and they've got 401ks and they got IRAs. And, it's something that I've thought about myself. I mean, I wonder if I should just take a large chunk of my cash and put into a trust to my daughter already, in case I lose my marbles and somebody calls me on the phone and gets me to transfer. If I don't have money to give away, then the money's probably pretty safe.
Yeah.
But it's spooky.
Yeah, I mean, recently somebody I know received an email from an email address that she trusted, inviting her out to brunch, and it was like, just need you to add yourself to the reservation. Now, all of that is stuff that actually happens, right? So, I met some people out for reservation, and it clicked up with, I forget whatever the app is that does reservations at most restaurants nowadays. Of course, I was already logged in, and I just added myself to the table. But in this case, this person started going through, well, you're not logged in, and then it asked for their Google email, their Google password. And right after that, they called me and told me what had happened. And I was like,
change your password.
Stop
right now.
Talking.
Hang up.
And change your password.
Yes.
And click log out all devices. And hopefully that does something. Because once they get your email. So then it turns out that email that had come to her had come from somebody who shortly after that, who sent an email saying my email was hacked.
Yep.
So the email hacking can start a chain of events where it's like you and all your friends and all their friends.
And that's actually, we talked about the BEC, or the business email compromise. And that's actually just a personalized version of that same thing that happens is it happens to us. And there's been some cases a few years ago where some large data clearinghouses had lots of data about individuals, and they got compromised, and millions upon millions of records were swept off into the dark web, and people correlate that data. And when they start correlating it, they start putting things together. They may get one piece of information off of one website, another piece of information off of another website. Somebody else scraped your cookies, and they start correlating all this data together to put together a profile on you, and then they sell that profile on the dark web. Right. I actually last week got to work with someone that does forensics for a living, and they were showing me going into the dark web and actually going to some of those sites and how it actually worked. That's the first time I actually saw it live in action and not just pictures. And it was quite scary, some of the stuff that was seen out there. And
it's like Amazon, right? It's just like, I got 50,000. I got 50,000 of this for Yeah.
And one of the other things that's a big that I'm seeing more and more of an uptick in is the phony tech support calls, where either you go to a website and something pops up and says your machine has been compromised. Well, I can tell you, if you're using the Microsoft Defender, which most Windows people are, or if you're using the Apple stuff, it's not going to pop up in the dead center of your screen. It comes up over on the side, but it'll pop up, and then it starts asking all kinds of personal information, or tells you to call call Microsoft now. Well, Microsoft's not going to help you with your antivirus. They're just not.
Right.
But again, it's a major industry. I was actually, I guess you say, in the right place at the right time. I was working with another coworker one day, and his phone's sitting on the table, and we're working trying to resolve an issue on a computer, and his phone rings, and he just swipes the answer. Didn't even pick it up, just swiped the answer, and he said his name, and the person says, "Hi, I'm with Dell, and we're seeing irregular activity on your device. We need you to," and they started giving him instructions to walk through.
Wow.
And he just looks at me, and I looked at him, and I said, "Play with them."
Yeah, right. Well, that's called scambaiting, which is something I am just getting interested in.
Yeah. And so they were trying to say that they were getting into his system. And then the user said something about, "Oh, well, your Windows device is compromised." And the user looks back and goes, "I don't use Windows. I use Ubuntu." Click. Yeah. It was like,
I've had scammers like curse at me.
oh yeah,
saying, you're just letting them go like Windows. Okay, where do I go? Like, run them through the nightmare that is IT assistance over a phone. Like, wait, I don't. No, okay, no. Click on the window. I'm like, which window are you talking
you throw them for
about?
a loop. You say, you mean that little Apple icon in the upper left corner?
Right. Finally, you are a bastard person, is what the person said. Anyway, I was very happy. But that is a whole there's a whole YouTube. There are a series of YouTube channels.
Yes, there are.
There's a guy named Jim Browning who basically only does this on YouTube, and it's scam baiting, which can be very entertaining. And apparently there are scam baiting bots. Lionel, you had said, I would love to have one of those. And
I'd love to have an AI.
Yeah.
Have your AI call my AI and have them battle each other out. It's like hiring champions to fight your cause on the field.
Well, they'll start saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, my cat is throwing up in the other room." And, what color again? And just being the most obtuse, like slow, not being able to follow a thought. It's beautiful. It drives them crazy.
It does drive them nuts. I mean, it's, and like I said, the tech support is something I'm seeing a major thing of. Another one that's making a rise is someone in the press sector, again, will open a Gmail account, and maybe it is got a name very similar to mine. And then in the body, it'll say, "I just read about the most horrific thing. I've decided to change my life, and I'm joining an organization." And I'm going to quote a few things that were real in this one that I saw. It's, "I'm joining an organization, NoHungryChild.org. I really would appreciate if you could help me with this adventure. We're looking for 3 to 4 people in the area that can help me make this come true. If you really support the organization, here's the website. Check it out. My stuff is not set up yet with the organization, so if you're interested in helping me local, here's my local Gmail address." And they give the email address. And so, who in the world is not going to want to help a hungry child?
Right.
And they jump into this. And then I say, "Great, you've responded to me. I'm going to send you a check. This is going to pay for your computer and all the office equipment you need to get started and get set up. Look, I've got 2 other people in the area, so I'm going to send one check to you. I need you to coordinate with the other people. I'll send you their information in a separate email." They go through this whole thing, and they get you believing that you're fixing to be the point person. You get the check in the mail. You run it down to the bank. You throw it in. You run down to whatever electronic store, and you get your stuff, and you head back to the house where your phone rings and the bank says, "Your account is overdrawn." "How can it be overdrawn? I just dropped $5,000 in the bank." "Oh yeah, that check was no good."
Right.
It's Money Mule.
Yeah, it's called Money Mule.
It's a variation on Money Mule, which is a classic scam, which we had plenty of that. We saw that plenty in universities because young people get very, very excited when they're sent an email that says you can earn $500 a week working only 4 hours.
Right.
I want
I'm
the
a
job.
traveling businessman. I'm a traveling salesman, and I need somebody to perform light clerical duties for me. I'm sorry, would you say, Jonathan?
I said, I want that job. $400,
Yeah.
5 hours.
I don't know, but it's
No,
it's a very attractive, lucrative offer. I forget whether it's 500 for 4 hours or whatever it was, but very lucrative. And it's just you have to do light. They don't ask for anything at all. They just say send me an email, and some young person who really needs the money is very excited about this replies, and they say, okay, here's the first thing I need you to do. I'm going to FedEx you a check. Take the check down to the bank, cash it. It'll be $1,000 check. You keep 200 for yourself. You put the 800 in a FedEx envelope and FedEx it back to me, and you keep the 200 as your fee. And so, of course, it's Money Mule. They're cutting a banker. It's usually a banker's check from Walmart, some large corporation, Target, Walmart.
That's what it'll look like, but every bit of the information is bogus on it.
Yeah. And so what they do is I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was like, you can get the check, you can get official check looking stuff. You can order it online, because a lot of accounting businesses, instead of keeping, 100 different checkbooks around for their clients, they order, like you would order paper for your printer, they order the check stock. And then they print everything in their accounting firm. So, I mean, you can do it online if you know the right resources and get stuff.
We had horrible not horrible, but I mean, just, really devastating situations, where the student goes down and tries to explain to the bank. And banks at first were kind of like, one student was lucky because she'd been a customer of the bank for like 7 years. So the bank said, okay, you're probably not screwing us. But other times the bank's like, sorry, you owe us $800 or you owe us $5,000.
Yeah.
But it wasn't me. And they're like, we don't believe you. Sorry. And I can see where they're coming from.
A new variation I've seen of that is that after a few emails exchanged back and forth, they'll say something like, well, I really want to get your direct deposit information set up. I need your routing information and your bank account number.
Right.
And as soon as you give them that information, they just start draining the account. They'll start with small numbers and then get bigger, and then until they get a rejection.
That's something I don't understand. Your routing number and bank account number are on every check you write.
Yeah.
Why is it so insecure that somebody with that information can basically drain your account? How is that possible?
I'll go one further. The routing number of your bank, all I got to do is talk to you long enough, and I can get what bank you use. You would probably almost willingly give that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Every routing number for every bank around the world is in a published book.
Right.
But if
today you can actually look it up online.
I know, but so if I write a check to somebody, and they throw it in the trash and somebody finds that check, they can start printing checks as me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not very secure.
No, and that's why a lot of people are trying to move away from those paper checks, and they're moving towards, the credit cards or the debit cards or the electronic currencies and Zelle and things of that nature.
Although if you go and you try to transfer something by Zelle, whoa.
Yeah,
the banks put up like 5 screens saying, you better know what you're doing because we are not going to move a finger for you.
Yeah, when it's gone,
if you get screwed by this transaction, we are going to dance on your grave singing bloody hallelujah. Really, the banks are just like, we're not going to dangle a rope down to rescue you. We're not going to throw you a life preserver. You're completely on your own if you use this service, which shows you how serious all this stuff is.
Yeah,
it was funny. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and just kind of tell you, everybody is susceptible to these scams. I don't know if everybody can see or not, but what I'm holding here is a large pack of basically eyeglass cleaner cloths.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when I ordered this, it was a 1 terabyte hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I clicked on to order, was a 1 terabyte hard drive, and I got cloths. And whenever I said I got scammed and went back to I paid through PayPal, and I went back and I said, well, the person said, well, we sent we send an order. Here's our confirmation of sending. Here's our confirmation of receipt. And then PayPal says, well, it looks like you got your order. I said, no, that's not, it's not my order.
Right.
You know? So
yeah, right.
It happens to everybody, even what looks like very, very, very legitimate companies.
Well, I was going to say that, the IT scam has actually been going on for a long time, and people have gotten a little bit savvy to it. And the newer scams, so I've learned a little bit more since I started watching, Jim Browning. And some of these I had never, there's the job scam where they ask you to just do a 5-star review and I'll send you $5. And the more you do, then and they actually send like up to $50 to each person. So you're actually getting actual money, not money in some kind of Bitcoin account that you can't get to in a fake app, actual money that you get. So then you feel confident and they're like, oh, well, here's a bigger job.
Right.
But it's going to require some monetary outlay on your part.
Right.
Right. And then it starts to turn it the other direction. And apparently even with people basically quitting at the $50, they rope you into the point where the promise of $800 is, like, whoa, what if I could really get that for just, for just writing a review or something like that. All I had to do was type 5 stars before, but now if I write a review, I get $800, but somehow I need to like send in $45 to do that. Right. People fall for this.
And there's another scam that's getting more and more popular, and most of the security industry calls it a victimless scam. But the true victims are not the one who is being scammed. So you may get an Amazon package on your front door.
Oh, this is that
you didn't order.
Thunder, right? The Nespresso,
right? Yeah, an espresso machine or something of that nature. And sometimes they're little cheap nothings, and sometimes they're expensive gifts. But then what that person gets to do is go into Amazon, make a 5-star review, talk about how wonderful the product is, and next to their name is verified buyer. Purchaser or verified buyer, something, either one, verified that they purchased this product. So now it looks more legitimate. Well, if you look at the world of advertising, they're just advertising. So whether they would go spend money on some advertising platform or whether they get a series of good reviews, and good reviews sell products.
I see. They're not giving away their location. They're sending it to a random address.
Well, like they'll create an account that looks like me.
I see.
And then they buy it and send it to my address. Now I have no access to the account, so their credit card information or whatever is still secure and hidden and all that good stuff. But I get this box. Right. But that person who sent it out gets that verified purchaser, and they get to write a good review. Now you read that review for a crap product,
right? And
you're thinking, "Oh man, Jonathan said this is great. Oh look, Mary says it's wonderful." Okay, and then you buy it and you get it, and you're like, "Man, this is flimsy."
Why do they think this was any good?
Yeah, and the average person doesn't actually return those products.
Right, because it's a hassle. It's time out of your day.
Yeah.
And if it's a small purchase, then they don't. Right. I think they must count on you not returning the product, right?
Yes,
does that change
100%.
Yeah, so if you return it, then it won't work.
Right.
And they're out the money. So it's definitely worth returning it.
There's a different Nespresso scam, and I just looked it up. It's on a show called Planet Money. You guys can look it up later if you want to. It's called Wake Up and Smell the Fraud. And this really fascinated my daughter, because what happened was somebody did this to this lady, and the lady turns out to be the director of cybersecurity for the national, or she's the executive assistant to the director of somebody in the National Security Agency.
Wow.
And she was fascinated because what she did was she ordered Nespresso pods on Amazon. And when they arrived, there was way too many.
Right.
And she called up Amazon and said, I ordered Nespresso pods and there's way too many. And basically Nespresso and Amazon said, whatever, just keep them.
Like, why are you complaining? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's called triangulation fraud. There's actually 3 people involved, you, Amazon, and the fraudster. And I forget exactly how it works. It's actually fairly complex.
Yeah.
But it's really, really interesting, which is that, like Jonathan said, you don't get harmed. You end up with a lot of extra Nespresso pods. And what it does, it relies upon the fact that companies like Nespresso and Amazon are not going to they have thresholds for prosecution. And the scammers know precisely where those thresholds are.
Well,
and
some of those companies have a threshold for what they're willing to lose on a sale.
Right.
And so again, like you said, there's 3 people. What I've seen variation of that is it's usually an insider threat. So you order the pods, you get way more than what you needed. You call, Amazon says keep it, and then on the back end somebody goes in and they do a refund.
I think
they do a refund, and then they get the money. That person who does the refund gets the money back.
Yeah, but it's a great thing. It's a Planet Money, Wake Up and Smell the Frauds from 2022. Really well put together show. But yeah, I mean, sort of summing up all this stuff together, I think the big shifts that are happening recently, one, there's a lot more elderly people. And I've been hearing a lot about fraud perpetrated on the elderly. I think everybody's really
about that. Yeah.
Really hard to deal with it. The second big vector is AI.
Yep.
Which is a force multiplier. And 3, not really a new thing, but one of the great enablers of this entire wave is cryptocurrency, allowing people to move stuff around. But on the good side has been the emergence and the universal acceptance of multi-factor authentication.
Yes.
Which is a fabulous antidote to a lot of this stuff. Not necessarily so much to the social engineering of actually calling people up, but trying to brute force people's passwords is probably not a very profitable thing anymore, because so many people have adopted MFA. And one of the things that's happened with MFA is, MFA used to be, you would just get like classic MFA used in corporations and universities. You get ding dong on your phone. When you go to log into something, you get ding dong, you get ding dong on your phone. You say either accept or decline.
Right.
And that worked great for a long time until it no longer did, because what happens is there's some, what?
I was going to ask, how does it break? Yeah, I'm curious.
It breaks because people will click on anything. There's certain group of people who will just click accept on anything.
You also have MFA fatigue is another term that's used, where I will, once I have your username and password, I will just continue to keep logging in until you get frustrated, and then you just go yes.
Right. So they've phished your password via whatever means. They phished your password. They want to log in as you, but they can't because you got MFA. So the old joke is, what's the easiest way to get somebody's password? Ask them for it. And the other way, and what's the easiest way to get people to approve the MFA? Ask them to do it for you. And so people will pound away at it. So one of the things that is being contemplated now is you can't just simply say, okay. What happens is you're going to get a code, a 4-digit number, and you have to type that number in. Because what it's relying upon, the scam relies upon. So let's say the guys in Nebraska, the hackers in Nebraska, the hacker has your password. The hacker keeps logging in, and your phone keeps going off. At some point, if you get sick and tired, if you get MFA fatigue, you'll just click on OK just to make it stop. But if you actually go ahead.
It's different. It's funny because the Google Authenticator is like that. Google Authenticator is like, click the button and then suddenly it authenticates, because the code is changing every so often and they're in sync. That's a lot. You're right. That's a lot less secure than
Google Authenticator is very secure.
Yeah, but I mean,
Your
But if
phone,
somebody's trying to,
your phone has been registered with Google. They know your phone when you hit yes.
oh, I know, but I mean, you might if you are tempted to just say yes on your phone, then that whoever's been trying to get in gets in.
Yes.
Whereas you have to be on a screen and enter the digits
that
you
appear
can't
on the
just
screen.
say, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, and
right?
that's why
to somebody else for somebody else.
That's why everybody's going to this now. But the problem is users don't like that. I mean, users didn't like it. There's users who didn't like passwords. And then once they got used to passwords, we did MFA and they hated that. And now we're saying to users, look, you can only just click the big green button that says accept. You're going to have to look at the screen. You're going to have a 4-digit number. And so the problem is the guy who's trying to log in, the login screen is in Nebraska and you're in Boston.
Right.
And so the 4 digits are appearing on a screen in Nebraska, but not in Boston. And then it gets to this really complex stuff where the hackers try to get you to tell them what the codes are that are appearing on their phone. But if you answer yes to that, then you probably deserve to be scammed at that point.
I did once. And I just want to tell 3 stories, 2 stories really, 3 stories maybe, about times I was scammed. And I was working late. I was exhausted. And somebody called in saying they were from T-Mobile and that there had been some suspicious activity on my account. And they said, no, I just need the 4-digit temporary password that showed up on your phone. And before I could think, I gave it to him and then immediately realized what was happening. And I hung up and called T-Mobile and they're like, yep, we saw it. 6 iPhones were just ordered to somebody in who knows where. Yep. And they canceled the order. They had me reset my password. And then the guy called back and said, what did you do? Like, he had the nerve to say, like, what did you do? How dare you? How dare you call T-Mobile, which is where I'm calling from.
Yeah.
The other times, the scams were more interesting because they figured out I was an author. AI had summarized my book. They sent me they said, I love your book, right? This is a pretty interesting. The author scam is kind of new and you can read about it a little bit. And there are 2 different kinds. I can help you get better reviews and help you sell more books on Amazon is what was the first scam. And you just need to pay me X amount of, I don't know. They didn't even talk about money at first. They went in and they put up a bunch of fake reviews. And then they listed me on a bunch of different lists on Amazon. And I think these are all AI generated reviews. And the lists that I was listed on were like strange, like medical travel, books about traveling, clothing shopping in different places, because my book is about a traveler, but it's a science fiction book. None of these lists have anything to do with my book. I insisted on a Zoom meeting, and I did have a Zoom meeting with an actual person, I think. But it was, I don't know, I think that AI wasn't quite there to imitate a Zoom call yet, like a video call. But the person was clearly in a third world country. And then I started to feel, okay, well, if I just automatically assume this person is a scammer because they're in a third world country, doesn't that make me kind of an asshole? And I let it go on for a while, to the point where they were like, listen, I put so much work into this. This has been I've done so much for you. And that there was actually something done. I said, yeah, but it's all garbage and it's going to get erased. I said, listen, I'll PayPal you $200 and never contact me again. And they were like, no, we can't take PayPal. We need to do, it was either Zelle or we need a bank transfer. They wanted my bank information. I said, no, I'll PayPal you. I'm willing to pay you some money to never contact me again. And they fought me on that, and they finally took the $200. And then they started contacting me again, and I blocked their email address. Final story. And it was after that, I should have known. Somebody, I love your books. I've read your books. I think they're fantastic. I think they'd be perfect for our book club, the Denver Gay Book Club. And the guy's name was Jim Davidson. Jim Davidson. Right?
How can I can suspect somebody called Jim Davidson?
No, it's a very original name. I mean, there's how many people, how many Jim Davidsons are there out there? Again, but it's that was actually fairly clever. I'm like, well, it's a gay book club. How can I get critical? I'm a straight white man. should I get critical of a gay book club in Denver?
Right.
Should I think they're a scam? So that was clever. But the first thing I said was, listen, I need to do you're Jim Davidson. I need a Zoom call with you. And they set up a Zoom call with me, and they blew it off, right? And then the second time, I got a woman who was clearly in a call center, and I was like, or it sounded like she was in a crowded place, and I said, I'm not going to do this.
I'm out.
Jim Davidson keeps writing me. He's like, and I look it up. The problem is I can't find any scams on the web associated with the Denver Gay Book Club. So this must be a one-off with me, right? I didn't Google the right thing. I didn't Google Zoom author book club scam. That would have shown me that it doesn't matter what the name of the book club is. These are happening to a lot of authors. Mm-hmm. And so I gave it another try. And we got as far as me sending like my press shots, my headshots for the press so they could make posters and all that. And they're like, and we're ready to go as soon as we receive your fee. And then I was like, oh, fuck you. No, this is a scam. And he's like, no, genuinely, you don't have to pay any fee. It's all right. That's okay. And I said, well, I'm not doing anything now. And as a matter of fact, we're going to talk about my fee. You need to pay me, and I need to talk to you on a Zoom call. Set up another Zoom call. The other person on the call was named Adele, and it was clearly a call center this time, and a woman. And I was like, where's Jim Davidson? I want to talk to Jim Davidson. She was like, Jim Davidson can't make it. I'm like, fuck you. You're a scam.
Yep.
And then finally,
nice talk.
But it was like, that took a long time.
Yep.
I mean, I should have been able to stop it right at the beginning, and I couldn't. They're right. Once you flatter somebody at the beginning and say, I read your book, of course, every author, it's like they're waiting for those words.
Yeah.
Well, again, the basis underlying piece of all of these scams is psychology. Mm-hmm. They take advantage of the fact that the average person wants to do good. They want to help. Mm-hmm. And because they know that, they will prey on everybody until they get somebody to respond. So think about the email that you responded to. They might have sent, 1,000 emails out. They got one back. It especially as we've talked about with the technology today, it doesn't take a lot for them. Last fall, the FBI credited, I believe it was Claude, an AI tool, with the first 100% AI cyber attack. A person sat down, didn't have a lot of experience with doing cyber attacks, and they said, review the top 100 companies in the United States. Review this, and this. They gave the criteria and all this stuff. And so Claude came back and it pulled up all the information. Then the user said something to the effect of, now personalize an email to each of these companies, and gave more criteria. So then it all sent out.
Wow.
And then by the time they were done, they got, I want to say they got access to 40 or 50 corporations. They got in and started doing their footprinting. And then the FBI, I guess they tripped the wrong switch, and the FBI caught onto the scent and tracked them down, shut it down.
Yeah.
And another one that was presented last fall that's happening, I don't know how much of a scam it is or just something scary, was recorded up in New York. And I think I talked to Lionel about this one, where there was found 3 or 4 apartments around New York with enough cell phone SIM cards installed in electronic devices to stop all cellular communication in New York.
Yeah. You're basically doing a DOS on the entire cell network.
Denial of service attack.
Yes.
Just translating for the people.
Actually, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But it looked like a nuclear reactor. These buildings, racks, like these industrial racks of cell phones, all power, ready to go. I mean, it looked like something out of a doomsday scenario, which in fact it was. Because you basically just turn on 40,000 phones simultaneously and make a call simultaneously. It's like that old, who was it? Lenny Bruce, Flush for Freedom. If everybody in Manhattan flushed the toilet at the same time, we could collapse the entire, the New York water system.
You're talking about the Super Bowl flush.
Yeah.
I guess that happens, right?
It does. It's called the Super Bowl flush.
It probably affects the rotation of the Earth.
That's why the magnetic
the field's reversed. The pole's reversed.
That's why we figured it out, guys. So I want to get back to like the scamming of people, because hacking of big systems is one thing, but scamming people, this has made me realize is that it's important to figure out what it is that presses your buttons. Like, what is the scenario that you're wishing for, that you're wishing would happen, that will just like make you so happy that you would kind of forget a lot of careful steps that you really shouldn't forget.
Number one thing that they do is they push you and pressure you in time.
Yeah.
So that you don't have time to think.
Rush people. Very gentle aggression, but it's aggression. It's like, we gotta, this has to happen. Honestly, it happens everywhere in society. The one that causes me to hang up on salesmen immediately, go, well, we have a special deal. If we do this before the end of the month, you get a special rate. I'm just like, that's it.
Goodbye.
I'm not buying anything for you ever again.
For me, it was at the Jewish deli in New York. They were like, what's your order? What do you want? What do you want? What do you...
Yeah, it's hustling people
like,
along.
I don't know if I want tomato. Like, can you hurry up? I got a line.
Yeah, the hustle. They try to hustle you along. Yeah.
Another classification in what you're talking about there has been called investment scams, where they call you up or they send you an email and it's like, hey, we got this really hot IPO that's fixing to hit. We're going to let you in early. You've been pre-selected. Just send us your bank account number and we're going to, automatically deduct the funds and you'll be guaranteed to get in on the subprime rate or whatever, and 2024, $6 billion was recorded in being lost that way.
And a lot of this, like people who are really smart with a lot of money fall victim to that kind of thing.
Well, again, your top level business people are used to doing things in a hustle.
Really fast, yeah. And they're expecting good things to happen, right?
Exactly.
They feel very deserving.
They're trusting.
Yeah.
Well, I have a slightly more dim view of mankind. You sort of think that everybody's like yourself. And that's usually a good thing to do most of the time. But we are different. People are different. And some people are really clueless when it comes to computers. I mean, I've had to work with them. And they're really clueless. They really have no idea of up or down. And they're really lost. And their whole life, they've taught to defer to authority. So when somebody, I had to deal with something where it was just a simple mail scam. Somebody sent, you see these, you get these letters all the time and say, final notice. You need to do this to avoid blah, blah, blah. I mean, the simplest scam of all was the time one of my friends came home and his girlfriend had set out a huge table with champagne and lit candles and it was filet mignon. He goes, what's going on? She says, we're going to be rich. And she holds up the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes letter and she says, I won $7 million. And he's like, sweetheart, I don't know how to break it to you. It goes on every level of our society, but
it does.
But people really are gullible, and I'm probably gullible in ways that other people are not. Other people laugh at me for different things. But when it comes to business and communications and people, I basically really am a sociopath. I don't trust anybody at all. I think everybody's out to scam me, and I'm usually right. And even if I'm wrong, I convince myself I'm right. But people really do fall for this stuff. It's the hustle. The Bernie Madoff trick was, so Bernie Madoff was the guy who collapsed the Western society for a couple of years there. And his line, people come to him and say, can I invest in your thing? He goes, no, I can't. I'm sorry, it's
No,
all closed.
we can't take any more.
We can't take any more. And then he'd sort of walk away and go, there's one guy who's there's a couple. I think I might be able to fit you in, and that was his lick.
Yeah,
maybe I can squeeze you in, and that's how he got most of the people.
I actually worked for a company that was scammed in part of that process. They bought and sold a certain product, and they bought it and then sold it, and my employer had to wind up giving the money back to the person who bought it from him because he got sued. Come to find out, in the chain of custody, one of the people in there was the Bernie Madoff. Say the name.
Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff. Madoff.
Yeah. Somewhere in that chain of custody was that, and the courts went back and reverted the ownership back to the person prior to
Oh, wow.
Bernie buying it. And so it took all of these 3 or 4 other people. They just lost all their money.
Yep.
They no longer had a product and lost their money.
If you resell a stolen item, you're screwed. I mean, if A stole something and sold it to B, and B sold it to C, and you're C, and all of a sudden the original owner finds that you have it, you've got to hand it over. And your only recourse is go sue B, and B's only recourse is to sue the original thief A, and who's going to do that? But there's Bernie Madoff, the other famous one, which is millions of years ago. But again, it's about like Jonathan said, like you all said, it's all psychological.
It's the psychology,
and it's what you want. It's what you deeply want.
One of the big ones, and I forget the exact name of it, but it was a massive hit to the Philadelphia area about 20 years ago. And it was an investment fund that went around to all the major nonprofits in the Philadelphia area. They went to the Scott Foundation. They went to a bunch of Bible colleges in and around Philadelphia. They went to all these charitable organizations, all these funds. And the key thing was that it was a father and son team, and they very much promote themselves as devout Christians. And proceed to fleece everybody. And one of the guys who ran one of the organizations said he led such wonderful prayer meetings. So that's the thing, is that you find something, like Jim, they say to you, we love your book.
Right.
It's that personal connection. Yeah. That personal connection. But it's amazing how fast that veneer gets stripped away once you're onto them.
Oh God, yeah. Then it just I continue to get email. The other one big clue, if you're in one of these kind of like they've gotten to know you scams, is the rate at which the emails come is incredibly rapid, and they come at all times of day at night.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So check how many emails there. Like we're just waiting on whatever it is, like a blurb, or we're waiting on. Can you suggest some questions for our readers? Whatever it is they're asking for, if you don't send it right away, you'll get 5 emails before the next day. That's a big red light, and it fits in with the more complicated one, like the pig butchering scam. I don't know if you guys have heard of this.
You may have mentioned it.
It's so complicated, and it's run. I forget. I think it's run out of China, and a lot of times the people who are doing it are being held prisoner. I think there was something on NPR about this. Usually it is a literal honeypot, like not a literal honeypot, but it is like a very attractive woman is trying to get in touch with you. It's just, asking you how you are. And they'll start out just kind of being really casual, and then they'll kind of ramp it up, and then they'll show you pictures of their luxury lifestyle. And I don't tell everybody this, but I have an investment opportunity for you. Yeah. And so it's a long con.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It builds up slowly, and you kind of want to get the attention of this very attractive and wealthy person. And then you throw your life savings away. I forgot where I started, but it's just amazing how it plays on your on your desire. But then that other element of urgency is
The
a
hustle. Yeah.
yeah.
That's the big thing is they try to appeal, like you said, to the good nature that's in most people, and they try to make you move quickly so you don't have time to connect the dots. You don't have time to think about all the words that they have said and how they don't line up.
Yeah. Yeah, the multiple emails do that too because you can't read them all.
Right.
Right? There's just you're scanning them because there's like 5 and in your inbox in the morning. Like, oh wow, this must be important. Gee, I'd better do something.
Well, I think did I mention already, Jim, about the book, the AI generated book? I mentioned that, right?
Oh no, you didn't mention it here. You mentioned it to me.
I didn't.
But not on this episode.
So here's another scam that people should be aware of, which is Amazon created this thing called print on demand. And what that is that if you're an author, you no longer have to find a publisher to publish your book. Because all you have to do is submit something to Amazon and nothing happens until somebody orders your book. And when somebody orders your book, Amazon will print one up right then and there in real time and ship it to the person. So what this has led to is a huge amount of nonsense books being created by AI and flooding the market. The most heavily hit segment is travel guides. If you look for a travel guide, the 2026 travel guide to London, there'll be thousands of books out there that are very cheap. And they have complete and utter not complete and utter nonsense, but they'll have very generic stuff that means nothing. And I fell for it. I didn't fall for it. But it was like a $35 book for it's a study guide for a test. So this is a lot more important than a tourist book, because I was relying upon this to prepare for this test. And I realized about 12 hours before the test that this book was nonsense. I did about 100 test questions and got a bunch of them wrong. And when I went to research the right answers, found out I had the right answer. The book had the wrong answers. And then I actually went and looked at the rest of the book, and it just sort of devolves into eventually the questions just become a single word. Oh my God. And it's just like, it gets more and more, it's like Hal. It gets more and more deranged as it goes on.
AI hallucination.
Yeah. So
I've seen, like you're talking about there, I've seen now on Amazon, a lot of times you can preview a book. And so like the first 10 pages or whatever that they'll let you preview is beautiful. Looks absolutely wonderful. And then it just goes downhill real fast.
Yep. So a word to the wise. But it's interesting because it's all enabled by certain technologies. Print on demand, AI, cyber currency, telecommunications, being able to talk to people in real time. When the AIs get really heavy, it's already happening. I mean, it's already poisoning the internet. I mean, every video I see on YouTube that it has any significant emotional content or is that speaking to anything except the most niche interests in the world, I just presume is fake. I just presume it's being made up to convince somebody. I mean, we've already seen the deep fakes of the missile attacks on Tel Aviv. I mean, that's fairly well documented. Yeah. There's all kinds of fake videos.
Mistrust, but verify.
Yeah. Just withdraw from society altogether. I'm thinking about
one of the things I see all the time, or I have people ask me all the time, is if all this stuff can be caught and figured out and traced back and on, why do we not see more prosecutions? And the answer is really simple.
Yeah,
most countries out there have no laws. Against it.
Yep. Oh, they're making money off of it.
Yeah.
Even if they had laws against it, it's an income.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's an income. My favorites. I'm sorry. Just one last. Can I tell one last story, or is that? Do we need to go, Jim? Do you need to
No. Yeah, tell one more story. Yeah.
But it's fascinating. It's not really a scam. But it's kind of like a scam, but it's fascinating because days of yore, back in the 1980s, a lot of countries a lot of countries run their own telephone systems, right? The telephone system is owned by the government, and the telephone system is a revenue earner for the government. And in many countries, especially countries where a large number of the people go overseas to work, say, for example, the Philippines. But the Philippines actually have, a fairly well, but let's take a smaller country called Country X. They own the phone system. So what they do is they charge very little money for people to make phone calls out of the country. Like you live in the country and you want to call somebody, they charge very little money for that, but they charge an extraordinary amount of money for people trying to call into the country. Because what happens is your son goes to New York City to work there and he wants to call mom back. So the country wants to make a huge amount of money. Well, what happened is that some enterprising people found out how to do callback services. And what that is you take a phone switch and you set it up. And what happens is you call into their special switch, but you immediately hang up. As soon as you call in, that switch grabs your phone number, hangs up, calls the number you're trying to call, calls mom, and then calls you back out. So now it's using the 10 cents per minute fee instead of the $5 per minute fee.
Right.
And some governments send people with machine guns to go in and shoot up these callback services.
Those call switches. It's so funny because it's not really a scam. It's just an exploitation of the way they set up it's a hack. Right, exactly. And it's not even a malicious hack. It's like, wait, you set it up this way. Why didn't you think we were going to do this?
Right. It's money.
I mean, of course, we're not going to make calls into the country.
Right.
We're only going to be having calls out of the country. We're just going to set up a time.
And what's
of day.
interesting is that the advent of universal telecommunications, of fiber optic cables, and the advent of the internet blew that all away. It's all gone.
Yep.
And countries have had to adjust because there's a huge money earner for some countries. It was just like remittances is a huge amount of income for some countries in this world. The money that people send back to their families from abroad. Anyway,
right, of course.
So, Jonathan, how do you like being a guest on the show? You said about what? You probably said about 17% of the words in the entire thing.
Well, everybody knows I'm a talker that knows me at all.
I'm sorry. So. I'm sorry. We should have made more time.
I hope we didn't
for
talk over you. But this was this is an exciting topic. I was excited to talk, and I had my own stories, and I did go on for about 15 minutes with my 3 examples. So I apologize, but
no, it's good. It's in the role that I play today in the enterprise world. One of the tasks that I have is to spread the word and train and teach how to protect yourself. And I think Lionel will agree with me that there's not enough places I can be. There's not enough words I can say, and there's not enough stories that we can tell to teach everybody and to convince and get the word around. So, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about some of the things that are going on out there. We didn't really talk much about how to prevent them because a lot of these you can't. The only thing you can do is common sense and stop it at the beginning.
I was actually just going to ask you if you had any advice to leave us with for like the last word of like, do this, don't do this, but I'll give you the last word anyway.
If it sounds too good to be true, it is.
It is.
If they're willing to give you a lot of money for no return, it's not good. And if they need your information yesterday, it's probably a scam.
Hang up. Thank you so much for joining us, Jonathan.
I appreciate
really
the time.
Enjoyed it. Is produced by Jim Infantino at Slab Media in Boston. Jim Infantino and Lionel Casson are the co-hosts. Our website is funnynotfunny.net. The theme music is from the song Wheel from the album Utopia Revisited by Jim. The opinions presented by the co-hosts are ridiculous and should not be taken seriously by anyone. Our intended audience is literally nobody. If you're listening to this podcast, you should probably pause to reflect on other choices you've recently made. Please do not subscribe or leave a rating or review. It only encourages us to make more. Thanks for listening.